Hey, Money Crew. Welcome to the Locums Lounge. Are you a physician who is feeling burned out? Are you tired of working endless hours without having the opportunity to reboot and recharge? Do you wish you could negotiate more money and work on your own terms? Are you interested or kind of heard of locum tenens work but aren't quite sure where to get started? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then let me be the first to tell you that this podcast is just for you. I am your host, Dr. Mimi, board certified emergency medicine physician, locum tenens expert, and full-time locums doc. I am also your take back coach. This podcast will inspire you to take back your career and practice medicine on your own terms. I will help you to successfully develop the strategies that will help you break free from the mindset that you work for your job and instead take back your career and let your job work for you. You can be happy while practicing medicine. You can avoid burnout, and yes, you absolutely can make more money. All right, well, let's get into it. All right, so today's conversation is for anyone in healthcare who has ever thought there has to be another way to practice medicine without completely burning myself into the ground. I know some of my physician friends and listeners might hear travel, your nurse practitioner, and think, why does this matter to me? And I actually love that reaction because today we're talking about locums as a lifestyle and a strategic career move, not just a job category. So Ebony, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm just like watching you. You're killing it in the game. I love what you're doing because I feel like we're doing the same thing. You're doing it for your, nurse practitioner colleagues. I'm doing it for my physician colleagues. So I want to start with, before we get into the lifestyle and travel, I want to ground this just so people understand your background and what you do. Can you walk me through your clinical background, some of the settings that you've worked in, like what it is that you do?
Yeah, sure. So I started doing locum tenens in 2019. Prior to that, I only had 4 months of urgent care experience as a staff nurse practitioner. Prior to that, I was a travel nurse in the ICU. So I kind of got used to I guess putting my foot into the door. And so since then, my major background is urgent care, but I've done definitely occupational medicine. I've done primary care, not a fan of it, but I've done it. Most of my experience is in urgent care, and my most recent experience is peds urgent care, which is new to me.
Nice. Yeah, peds can be a different ball game. How do you feel about it?
I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I didn't think I would like peds because, in urgent care, we see all ages, but most of the people that come into urgent care, they're like adults.
Right.
Right? So we'll see kids here and there. So at first, my recruiter was just like, I'm familiar with this clinic, and they really wanted a peds nurse practitioner. And I don't know what happened as to why they couldn't find one based in New York. But I got the job. So my recruiter was just like, I don't know how you got the job because I submitted other people to this opportunity that are peds, and they were just like, no. Wow. So it was just like alignment. Yeah. So it's not far from my house too, girl.
Nice.
In your car rental.
Nice.
20 minutes away. And I've been in peds since then. I still do adult urgent care, but I'm in peds too.
Okay. So what's been the steepest learning curve that you've had to adjust to stepping into a new assignment?
I would say I feel like the learning curve I had to be the peds opportunity.
Okay.
Mainly medication management, dosing those medications. Now, I've been with them for a year and some change now. Now I can look at a patient and be like, I know that patient is adult weight.
Yeah.
But before, it was kicking my behind, really bad. But the good thing about it is that they knew I didn't have a lot of peds experience. So the first 6 months, they were looking for a long-term provider.
Okay.
So for the first 6 months, I was with a doctor. So I was never left on my own. And then after 6 months, I got my own clinic.
Okay.
Because they have multiple locations. So I had my own clinic, and now I still have my own
Well,
clinic.
that's
So
awesome. And then I mean, I guess
yeah.
that's good that they would provide you with that experience and allow you to get comfortable and see how things go versus just throwing you into it. And is that something
Yeah.
you had to ask for, or is that something that they just offered you?
No, so it's not that I didn't ask for it. When I did the interview, I told them I see peds, but not as much.
Okay.
So I told them that I would prefer to be with another provider. When I got there now, it was only like the first day I got there, she was like, you could shadow me. And I know the type of person that I am. Like I said, I came from a travel nursing background.
Mm.
And also, remember, my first staff NP position, I didn't even say this. Like, my first staff NP position in urgent care, after day 2, I was left on my own.
Hmm.
So I'm already used to jumping into roles, but I also know that I can critically think. I also know that I will ask questions when I need to. So when I got there, they were like, yeah, you can shadow me. And I just know my learning style is not a shadow. I have to go in, see the patient, and if I had any questions, I would ask. So
Right.
most of the questions that I asked was around like rashes. Rashes. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't
Right.
know. So yeah, we have a really good amount of providers there. A lot of locum docs are there too as well. So
Okay.
it really shaped me as a pediatric nurse practitioner.
You've really hit some major points. And sometimes we run into situations as locums providers where they just want to throw you in, and we
Mm-hmm.
have to, I think there has to be a level of understanding to say this is what I need to feel comfortable, or
Mm-hmm.
understanding what it is that you need to feel comfortable in a setting. And so one of the things doctors
Agree.
really worry about is like new systems, new expectations, new politics, new EMRs. How do you assess a new site quickly and decide I can practice safely here?
That's a good question. So I have this thing where I'm extra early. Extra early. I'm the first person there. I might be parked up until the clinic opens. There are times though where I asked to come in to see the clinic just to see how things function, or times where, especially with EMR systems that I'm completely unfamiliar with, I would ask for EMR training day.
Okay.
Um, and of course, that should always be paid.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I would do that, and then the first thing that I do when I do get to the clinic, if it's not like an EMR, I'm not. If it's an EMR I'm familiar with already, I don't usually ask for EMR training day. But
Hmm.
if it's one that I'm familiar with, I'll get there and I ask them how their flow is. I always make sure we have a front desk, an MA,
Okay.
because I'm mainly urgent care, a front desk, an MA, and myself.
Right.
I don't believe in the front desk doing MA work. I don't believe in the MA doing front desk work. At least not one person doing both, because it
Yeah.
slows down the flow, especially it's wintertime in urgent care. So prior to even going to the site, I need to visualize during that interview what it would look like to work there. So that's one of the questions I ask. Like, what is the workflow? Do they
Right.
have a front desk? Who checks who in? Is there a medical assistant? What does the medical assistant do? What is expected of me? I ask, that's like my top question to ask. Like, what do you expect from me as a locum provider? Because I feel like you have to assess the situation too. It's a little bit different than, working a staff job where you're like, I'm trying to get a role. It has to be equally
Yeah.
mutual. How am I benefiting from this as well? You
Right.
know?
Right. And that's something you definitely are right about, like having adequate staffing where you're going. There's some
Yes.
places where it's like, oh, they expect me to make the calls for my transfers. They expect, and it's hard to do all of those roles when like our job is to keep people alive and keep people safe. So
Exactly.
that's definitely a red flag if it's understaffed and they're stretching people thin. So that's a good point that you make for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about why people even start looking at locums. I'm interested in how long had you might have mentioned this already, but how long had you worked a full time, let's say W-2 gig? And what were you feeling in the permanent role that made you say, this isn't
Yeah.
sustainable? I need to figure out something else.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll elaborate further on that. So in nursing school, I started in nursing school. I first learned about an NP school. I first learned about the role of locum tenens. And I kid you not, we had a job fair. And all of the tables that I was attracted to was tables about freedom and flexibility. It wasn't even about salary and CMEs and all of that extra stuff. It was literally like you got freedom and flexibility. So I already kind of knew like like I knew about locum tenens, and I knew those were the tables that I was attracted to. I just didn't have experience.
Mm-hmm.
So because they were like, you need to have at least a year of experience, right? And I was just like, okay, this is for nurse practitioners. I don't know how it is for doctors. I think doctors, you could get straight into it from residency, from what I was
That's
told.
what I did.
Yeah, exactly. I have friends that are doctors that does that as well. But for nurse practitioners, that's a no.
Okay.
So there's some contracts that will take you as a new grad though, but it's not really seen as much. So what's funny about it is that I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back. I already knew that I was gonna come back into it. I just didn't know when, how, why. But I would tell you that, like, as a nurse, I was working full time in the ICU, and I was also working. I was studying, like, I was working towards becoming a nurse practitioner, family medicine nurse practitioner, and I was stressed out. I worked overnights, three 12-hour shifts in the medical ICU, and then I went to school during the day.
Oh, wow.
So when I graduated in 2018, wasn't focused on getting a job. I wasn't focused on getting a nurse practitioner job. And a lot of my colleagues, they did, but it wasn't my focus.
Okay.
So I did travel nursing. I went to California, was in New York, I was in Seattle, Washington. I did that. And then I was like, I'm not the type of person to not utilize a degree that I paid for. Right. So a year later, I actually started studying for my boards. Okay, I guess I should study now. So I started studying for my boards. And then in June of 2019, I became an urgent care provider.
Okay.
2019 to October 2019, same year, I quit. So 4 months. That's it.
And that was a full-time W-2 gig that you did.
My only full-time W-2 gig. And what made me say this isn't it for me was like I said, I was left by myself after 2 days. I had 2 shadow experience, one with a doctor, one with a PA. And I asked them, I was like, and I think at that time I was kind of desperate for a job, like a nurse practitioner job. So I didn't ask a lot of the details during the interview.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked them, I was like, okay, if I need help, who's there to support me? They was like, just text us. And that was a red flag right there. I love that. I still talk to them, right, nowadays, but I was just like, that was a red flag. Like, there's nobody, no supervising physician, like what? So day 3, I was left on my own with a medical assistant in the front desk, and I was seeing about 25 to 35 patients by myself.
Wow.
And the support came from those two shadow days, and also friends that graduated before me, a year before me. So I would text my friend like, hey, I would step out of a patient's room and I'll be like, hey, let me speak to my supervising physician or speak to somebody that knows more than me.
Yeah.
And so from there, I was just like, if I keep going at this, I didn't feel like that job served me any purpose anyways. So I was just like, I want to get into contracting. And I honestly don't know how I got into it. I quit the job, and 2 weeks later, my first job was in primary care, not even urgent care. I have no primary care experience. I stayed in that job for 6 months.
Okay.
That primary care job. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you said you didn't know what questions to ask, and a lot of times you don't know what you don't know, especially getting into that was a full-time gig, and I think that's even a more tough situation, to be in a situation wishing you would ask certain questions. Now you feel trapped because you're in a contract,
right?
Depending on if you can get out or not. But with locums, if there is something that makes you feel uncomfortable, then it's usually easier to get out of that situation, especially if it's something that is going to put your job at jeopardy or put your your career at risk. So definitely. And that is key. Like, I know you help a lot of other nurse practitioners find jobs. Is that something you help them with, identifying red flags and recognizing what kind of opportunities they're saying? Like, if you don't know what to ask, especially when you're going into a new environment, then you can really get yourself into trouble. So definitely.
I definitely say, like, so we do, the nurse practitioners that I work with, as soon as they tell me they have an interview, I'm like, let's do a mock interview. We do mock interviews. I want to question you, see what you can say. Because sometimes, you don't realize that you're not saying enough. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't think about that. I'm like, you have to, because it's a mutual relationship.
Right.
They're telling you about their facility. You know how it goes. They tell
Yeah.
you about their facility. Then they ask you questions about basically what's on your resume. And then they talk
Mm-hmm.
about, I tell them all the time, like when they start talking about the area is nice and the Walmart is nearby and all of that, I'm like, girl, you got the job.
Tell me, right. They want you there. They want you to know what's
They
around, for
want you
real.
there. So just
Yeah.
ask the right questions, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's really a, like you say, a two-way thing. It's like you're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing you because I want to know if this is going to be a good fit for me.
Exactly.
So, and there has been,
Exactly.
whoop, he gonna have to blank this out. Can you hear me still?
It's
Okay.
okay. I
Yeah,
hear
because you
you.
never know. And there have been interviews where I'm like, no, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So yeah, and when you talk, you mentioned you have some physician friends that have started locums out of residency or doing locums, and obviously you know interacted with other nurse practitioners. But what are the top reasons that you hear that they're feeling burned out or they want to make the transition to locums?
The top reasons.
Mm-hmm. Give me like three,
Hospital.
if you have three, top three reasons.
Yeah, hospital and clinical policy. That's like one of the biggest ones. Like just a restriction over like what they can and cannot do.
Okay.
Pay. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say time off too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, to prioritize self for sure.
Do you find now I've heard this, do you find that, so you did travel nursing for a period of time and now you know you're actually using your nurse practitioner degree, do you find that you make more money in travel nursing than you do as a you make more money as a nurse practitioner? Because I've heard the opposite and I didn't know, something I want to debunk, because people say, oh, you
So
make way more money
yes,
doing nursing than you do as a nurse practitioner, and
let's
maybe
talk
it's
about it.
yes.
Let's talk about it. So I'm glad for my travel nursing experience, but it's way different. I tell people, I was like, this is not like travel nursing. Okay, granted, W-2 locums is similar to travel nursing.
Okay.
But when you're a 1099 locum and you get all of your money up front, you get to decide what to do with that money. And you're not, the only thing I would say that's the difference between travel nursing and 10, well, not the only thing, but one of the biggest thing with travel nursing is that you have more freedom, but you're still capped on your income, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not any 1099 travel nursing jobs. If it is, somebody reach out to me and tell me, but
Mm-hmm.
there's not. They're
So
W-2 and they're
really, so
capped on
really,
their
the
income.
travel nursing gigs are still W-2.
Correct.
Wow, I didn't know that. I did not know
Travel
that.
nursing is W-2. That's why
Okay.
you don't really hear me say that I work with nurses,
Right.
RNs, because
Right.
I would be doing them a disservice because there's not much 1099 opportunities for them.
Right. Like the tax savings and all the shelters that you get as a
Doesn't.
1099, you don't have as a W-2. That makes
Correct.
sense. So
So
you
you
find,
just have the freedom, you know?
yeah, that's it and nothing
That's it.
else. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that some of the benefits is freedom, but definitely the financial benefit makes a big
The
difference in
financial
addition to
benefit.
that freedom, because I gotta have the bread to take these vacations, and yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense. So
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
and that's kind of what, so that's what physicians tell me too. A lot of it is the hospital system, the
Yeah,
politics, the scheduling, not having enough time for themselves, not having a lot of control over their schedule, some of the dynamics in their current
exactly.
work situations can be toxic, and
Exactly.
a lot of times, because like I said earlier, you don't know what you don't know, you get used to that, you think that is the norm, and I have to try to like reinforce, like, it is not the norm. And one of the other things I notice is that people will talk themselves into staying in their current situations because it's the norm. Like, what we
Yeah,
do is outside the box. What we do is
exactly.
definitely outside the box, but because people convince themselves that that is stability, to be in those, toxic environments that are overworking you, not considering your schedule, not giving you enough time to do things that you enjoy outside of work. um a lot of times people will convince themselves that, okay, this is what I have to deal with. This is just life. And I have to remind them, like, no, like you can get a good gig. Like you said, you have a gig right next to your local,
20
right?
minutes.
Yeah. So like there are opportunities out there that are in alignment with what you might need from in your personal life. So definitely you don't have to be treated like a number. You don't have to be on the hamster wheel. You can have more control of your life. And I think a lot of people are looking for that, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. And you just got to know what to do with your career. I feel like locums is great, but locums is not the long-term goal.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Because you can definitely become a burnt out locum.
You can. If you don't
You
do,
can.
if you're not doing it right, and if you don't have a bigger picture in mind, like
Exactly.
I know I can't do this forever. Like
Correct.
it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. I don't want to be 60 years old trying to run around somebody's ER. Like that's just not my plan. But
Exactly.
what locums does do for me is give me the time freedom to put and invest in other things that will
Exactly.
create income, that will, you know, create a plan for me to retire. And that's and
Exactly.
sometimes when you're giving all into that W-2 job, in the end you're like, okay, this is it. Like I haven't had time to put into the things that I enjoy or the business ideas that I enjoy and things like that. So yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
That's another major difference too, because when you get more money as a 1099, you can diversify that income in a way that makes sense for you to produce more money, so you can reduce working as a locum, right?
Yeah.
That's, you have to just have an end goal with it. What's your end goal? My end goal is not to return back to a 9 to 5. So I'm strategically doing everything I need to do, investing into my retirement, investing into real estate, investing into mentorships, and everything I need to do to be able to not feel like I have to go back to a 9 to 5. And it's because a part of it is that I've seen what freedom look like. I see what my earning potential looks like. And that's way more than I ever made in my life. And I still have my peace and my sanity.
That is
So,
like so
yeah,
valuable, and you cannot put a price on your peace. That is for sure.
at
So,
all.
you've kind of answered this question, but in case you have anything additional, what does locums give you that a permanent role never could?
I just answered
You
that
just answered
too.
freedom. Anything else to add to that?
Girl, I don't work Sundays. No, you're not going to make me work Sundays. I go to church. That is the Lord's day. So just being able to be like, no,
Yep, nope,
can't
not
do it.
available. Yeah.
Not available. And then if it's something that's just, I'm sitting at home sometimes and I'm like, okay, because the way my peds one work is like, I can work 4 hour shifts, I could work 8 hour shifts, I could come in like 6 hours or whatever. So if it's needed and I'm like, oh, okay, fine, let me go make some money,
Yeah.
I can go do that. It's just having choices.
Having the
Choices to,
options.
yes.
Having the options and
Yes.
being able to choose the options that best align with, with how you function. That's
And the
like
season that
major.
you're in right now.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
for
The
sure.
season I don't like to work in the summertime. I'll work in the winter. I don't like to work in the summertime. So I'll go harder in the winter.
Yeah.
And then in the summertime, I'm probably
And that's
off.
good. That's really good. And I try to tell people, like, because with as a physician, I feel like locums is seasonal work in general,
Yeah.
because I can create, I have created stability in like my number of shifts that I work, but there are times where it's harder to be like, okay, let me see if it's because am experienced now, I don't have that issue. But early on, it's like, okay, let me try to get my shifts, because come July, August, residents graduate. And so new
Mm-hmm.
jobs, people are signing up, signing on contracts. And so people feel like they have fully staffed their ERs and they don't
Yeah.
need locums. That has not been an issue for me in the past couple years, but unless you know how to prepare for that and plan. So before these last couple years, that was me. Summers, July, August, I'm like, okay, they think they fully staffed. I'm gonna just chill these couple months and take my
Yeah.
vacations. And usually
Yeah.
like September, like by fall, they're already burned
They
out.
come
They
back.
already
Yep.
burned out, taking time off,
Yep.
and they're looking for, someone to help fill in some of that shit, some of those shifts, and take some of that stress off of their full time
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I agree. That's exactly what I do. You kind of know the waves for your
You
specialty. Like,
do.
I know winter is going to be all of these opportunities for me. Let me stack up in the winter time, stack up my savings, buffer my accounts. And then the summertime, I'm going to hang out. January, I know, like December, the end of the year also, that the beginning of the year, they're trying to look at their budgets to see if they can afford you for next year, right? So it's just about timing, like, and understanding how to really work as a locum. Because some people, they're scared. They're like, oh, what if you don't have a contract? I don't know. Like, I would say my first year of doing it kind of stressed me out. Like, oh, what if I didn't have a contract? But after that, when you start having a system that works for you, so every summer I do this, every fall I do this, or I at least work 9 months out of the year. You get a little breathing room.
It makes a difference when you understand how it works. It relieves some of that stress. And so people starting out, they may not see the benefit of working with someone who is seasoned, but I would say that is key, because when you're breaking out from a situation where everything is laid out for you, your schedule is laid out for you, you know how much money you're going to make, and now you've got to fend for yourself and make sure that everything is, you're getting the shifts you need, you're making the money you need to make. Like, it can be stressful if you don't understand how to move, how to prepare for those seasons when things may slow down. And so working with someone who understands that when you're just starting out will relieve so much stress in terms of like how you transition from full-time, or how you transition from, for physicians, from residency into doing locums work. Yeah.
No, it's true. I think I've always said this, like, we're talking about a career shift here. We're not talking about buying a car. We're not talking about, buying out. We're talking about a full career shift. Like, you should be working with somebody that's seasoned. They're going to get you through it. I feel like for a lot of my mentees, I'm a life coach.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Because that is true. I think in any profession where it takes a lot of time commitment, and for what we do, you have to be dedicated, because people's lives are on the line with our decisions and our training and what we give. That when you are, we kind of get conditioned in certain ways. Like, we get conditioned to like go on a pathway per se. You finish college, you go to the next phase of your education, you get a job. You work that job for 20 years, which I don't know anybody working the same job for 20 years. Like, maybe that was how it was back in the day, but now, like, there is no loyalty in this medicine game. So you have to take care of yourself. You have to be able to do that. And helping people break from that mindset is major when you are going into working for yourself. Because I don't know about you, but I'm going to assume that you didn't learn a ton of business in your nursing training. Because we don't get any of that in medical school or residency. You have to teach yourself. And I think the industry takes advantage of that we don't have that business sense per se. We may think we're asking all the right questions, but when it comes down to numbers, we're not business minded in that sense.
And I say that all the time too, because you have to know your numbers, what's your freedom goal. That's my biggest thing. What's your freedom goal? What's going to make you feel comfortable? Like, if I need to take time off, I'm okay with how much I make. Because what happens is you go from like hopping contract to contract to contract, becoming burned out, to now saying no for 3 months, because you already know what your numbers look like. That's the business side of things, So people got to realize that locums is a business.
It's a business. You are, like I was saying, I am my business. Like, it is a business. You have to understand what you're getting into and how to manage. And a lot of times that can be intimidating and overwhelming for people. Yeah. But I feel like, and maybe, I don't know if you agree, but I feel like once you get things set up, it's really like cruise control. Like, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, you set up your retirement stuff. That's like, it is what it is. You know what to anticipate you're going to have to put in there, make to do it. So it's not as intimidating as people make it out to be.
Yeah. It's just it's years of ungrooming though, because if we've been grooming that even from our parents, like 9 to 5, get your retirement, all of that stuff, then that's all we know. Like,
that's good.
Pension and 65 that's it. And That's what we know,
Which is why we get a bad rap, because now it seems like our generations, like current generations are looking at, we want to live better lives. Like, we ain't signing up for that. What our parents did, our grandparents did, like, we're not signing up for that.
At all.
We have to create the lives that we want to live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for clinicians sitting on the fence, especially, and I'm speaking to physicians who think locums is only for a certain personality, what kind of person actually thrives in this space? What do you think? Who do you think thrives in this space?
So I feel like the person that actually thrives in this space is one that knows that there's more than just healthcare. It's more than just the 9 to 5. It's more than just work until you retire. It's more than just that. So I feel like the typical person that's in it, let's forget about the travel and all of the perks that come with it. You're never going to feel comfortable in just that space.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working in just that 9 to 5 job, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you're never going to feel too comfortable. And that's the type of person that's going to thrive in spaces where they see more. I read lots of like books on financing. Yeah. And I think my first book that I ever read a long time ago was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
Good book. Like, yes. That's like the basic level mindset book. And definitely. Just the way that he was speaking from both sides, the rich dad and the poor dad side, I was just like, okay, I definitely aspire to be the rich dad. Right? Yeah. So yeah. The person that's in that space is like, nah, like, I like the job, but this ain't it for me. I see more. I see myself advancing more. And it's not always like a person in business or want to start a practice or anything like that. It could be things like real estate and just things like you could put your investments in stocks and let it grow, things like that. So like, I feel like that's the typical person, a person that's just not comfortable where they're at.
I would agree. And I will add to that, the person who has interests outside of medicine. Yes. Like, we were all people who had interests before we started our careers or started our educational journeys. Like, we had interests outside of that, and those don't go away. We may have put them aside, for a period of time while we're training, while we're, focused on a goal. But people have things that they're interested in. And I always say, like, your passions, you can create income out of your passions. And a lot of times people forget that. And I think that's missed opportunity. And locums give you the time to be able to devote, effort and energy into those things that really like fuel you. So
I agree 100%. I agree. I feel like sometimes medicine and the thing is, like, I speak from a perspective of loving medicine. I became a nurse practitioner because I genuinely want to take care of patients. That's it. I'm going to be honest with you. I went to Jamaica 2 weeks ago. During the storm. I actually worked out there.
Okay, wow.
I worked out
there. Tell me about that. Yeah, tell me about that.
So the Hurricane Melissa just passed. Yeah. So there were many different, I don't know, like, they needed additional help. So they were asking people from United States to like come out there and help, like as a nurse or a provider. So it was me and a doctor that went out there from New York.
Oh, wow.
I obviously operated as a nurse because nurse practitioners is not recognized there, but I did give insights because he's not really comfortable with kids, and I am. So I gave my insights here and there. But we had a makeshift clinic, like literally in a basement. We set up everything. One was in a basement. Another day we went and we set up our stuff in the school, where we had our intake, our check-in, and he saw the patients, and we had medications that was given to us, like FDA approved medication, of course, from all over, whether it was like blood pressure medication or like antibiotics and everything. And we were able to dispense it, based on like what's going on with the patients. We were limited with supplies, but the fact that we were able to do that brought me a lot of joy.
That's awesome.
I remember after my clinic day, I sat down, I was sitting by the beach, and I was like, I could do medicine for free.
Because you love it. That's what it.
Because I love it.
Because you love it. Yeah. Like, I want to get to a point. Like, I love what I do. And a lot of the things that I think people experience that make them dislike their jobs, I'm not even say medicine, dislike their jobs, is really not about medicine. It's really not. I think you know, we all have this altruistic view of wanting to like be there for people, help people, sometimes at their worst periods of their lives.
Yes.
And it's not that bothers us. It's the fact that there's all these other factors, usually administrative, that affect us in being able to do our jobs. Like
Correct.
I've heard docs who like are working really hard and not getting their RVU bonuses. People are not paying them out. Like that's frustrating when we put the work in and we have, corporations dictating how we do our jobs and not paying on time and not, looking at us like a dollar, trying to
Yep.
minimize what their investment is. And it gets too complicated. And I think that's what is frustrating about medicine, not what we do in itself. But
Exactly.
what you just said is so powerful and speaks volumes about locums work. Being able to say, "Oh wow, it's a crisis. Let me figure out how to adapt my schedule so I can go there and do that. I want to be able to help them do that."
Exactly.
Not people who are on full-time W2 contract work, they not even contract, full-time W2 contracts cannot do that.
Yeah.
Like their schedules are set, and it will be very
Yep.
challenging to be able to take 2 weeks, a month, even a week to be like, okay, unless you're cutting into your vacation time, but to be like, okay, I'm gonna go and do this work because that's important to me and that feeds my spirit and my soul. So that is
Exactly.
so awesome. Thank you for taking the time to do that,
Thank
and thank you for
you.
sharing that. That is really
Thank
awesome.
you. Yeah,
That is
because
really
people feel
awesome.
like, like girl, I've gotten messages like, you care about, all you care about is money and freedom. You don't care about patients. And it's like, it's not even that. I care about my insanity. I can only pour into my patients if my cup is full.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's all it
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And being able to control that and being able to like have peace and control your exposure to potential burnout is major. It is so major with what we
So
do.
major.
With what we do. So, okay, let me move on. Another question.
This is good questions, by the way. I
Thank
love it.
you.
I always love talking about locums, girl.
I think you answered that one already. Okay, have you noticed differences in how teams treat you as a locums versus permanent staff?
Yes, 100%. I tell my messages this all the time. Like, they're grateful. You're taking off the burden of somebody that was seeing X amount of patients by taking some of those patient load from them. They're grateful. And if you work in a facility that's not grateful, guess what? You have a 30-day termination
Okay,
clause.
exactly.
Better use
And for
that.
me, it's like, okay, not gonna schedule myself there anymore. But most of the
Yeah.
time, that is my experience. And I think the misconception is that because you're coming into a new situation, because you're not part of the permanent team, that they're gonna treat you badly. But that's
Mm-hmm.
majority of the time, that's not my experience. Majority of the time, like you said, they're grateful that you're there to help relieve them from that stress. And at the end of the day, everybody just wants to do a good job and go home. People don't
That's
want to
it.
create drama in work. People don't want to have bad patient outcomes. And being a team player and supporting the staff,
Yeah.
permanent or
Yeah.
locums, like that's how you get that done. And if
That's
that's
how I feel. Yeah.
yeah,
That's exactly how I feel.
and if that's not the mindset, like you said, it's not a place you need to stay.
Exactly.
And
100%.
and because people come into locums with that in the back of their mind, sometimes, especially new providers, new doctors, new like new people, I'm say doctors because that's who I work with, but a lot of times they'll stay in situations that don't serve them because they think this is what I signed up for as a locums. And I have to debunk that because I'm like, listen, I've had contracts for years.
Me too.
Years, okay? I've had contracts for years and I love the people I work with. Like love the people, have made friends with people that I work with. And so yeah, definitely you know, I think that's people need to like understand that you can still have a good life and a good work environment and you don't have to sacrifice that because you're a contractor.
Exactly, exactly. And my only thing, my biggest thing really is that any type of environment I go into, I show up, I do what I have to do, I ask questions. My only goal really is to take care of patients and establish good relationships, because good relationships is going to allow you to come back, right? It's contracts
Mm-hmm.
that I've been on repetitively since 2019 that they will still ask for me every winter.
Yeah.
Every winter.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Ebony, they already know your work ethic. They know that you're a team player. I'm not coming there demanding this and demanding that. At the end of the day, I'm an outsider. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you how I work, and we adapt together, and that is just that. But I'm not going to come in a space that they're already in and kind of just be so mean, and like, this is not how this that's not my job. My job is, if it's not the way that it's supposed to be, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make my exit.
You said
Mm-hmm.
something key that I always try to reiterate is like, we are guests. We are
Your
guests
guest.
here. We are guests here. You don't go to somebody's house as a visitor and create dissension and create drama, especially when you're, for us, like, okay, well, don't come back. Like, if they don't like you, don't come back. Like, we don't have to have you. And so you want to show up and give your best. You want to show up and try to be the team player, because that's how you create longevity in your contracts. And I've had
Absolutely.
contracts end and they call me back years later and be like, hey, did you want to come back here? We have a need. And everybody seemed to like you and said good things. So they would love to have you back. That's what you want. That's what you want to
Exactly.
create, you know? That's the
Exactly.
only thing I want. If the job doesn't have that, like, throw the whole job away. I don't want it. I do not
Yeah.
want it.
No. Agreed.
So
I agree.
let's talk about leverage, because this is where locums really shifts the power dynamic. What changed for you financially or contractually once you realized you could say no?
Ooh. Um. I would say the biggest thing is my mindset. I found ways to make additional income. I would say that's a big part about it. Like, I because of that is more so for me personally, is like, work on a business or do a locum contract,
Mm-hmm.
versus before it was just like, do locums, do locums, do locums, do locums. And I would even say, besides the coaching business that I have, right? Before that, I was I still am a travel influencer. When I realized that I would get paid $2,500 for a reel, and I
Well, you
was
need
like,
to
oh,
tell
wait.
you need to tell me how you doing that, because that's what I need to do.
Yeah, like, but like, try to post things that I like. I actually like doing that. I would have posted anyways. I was just like, okay, that's 2 shifts. So when my mindset started changing like that, like, oh, okay, I'm able to generate income in different ways. I was just like, it was easier for me to say no, right? But
Absolutely.
also, let's say that didn't exist for the people that don't have those opportunities. We mentioned this earlier. When you set up a system where, okay, every contract, I'm putting towards my retirement this amount, or I am also putting towards savings, emergency funds. When you
Mm-hmm.
have things structured where you're like, this is the amount of time I want to work. I need to negotiate. Negotiation is big, because you want to negotiate contracts that allow you to take more time off, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more you could buy back more time, the more money you can negotiate, right?
Absolutely.
So for those people, once you have things set up, it don't seem like things is like a chaos for you. Your mindset shifts that
Mm-hmm.
way as well. Your mindset always shifts when it comes to budgeting things. Like, okay, let me put everything out. And I'm an Excel spreadsheet, Google Sheet girly. So, like, I'm gonna go and put everything out on the table, and I'm gonna be like, okay, this once these bills are paid, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mindset I have too. Like,
Yeah.
once this is, why am I chasing?
Yeah.
Once I can contribute to the retirement plan and max out my retirement, why am I chasing?
Yeah. You gotta live your life. It's not all about, you said some people say it's all about the dollar. It's not. It's about
It's
living your
not more money,
life.
more problems if you
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, what's one boundary you didn't know you were allowed to set before locums?
A boundary. You know what's crazy? It's really dependent on the contract for real. Because
Mm-hmm.
before there was, I'm getting out at, so my contract is from 8 to 8. I'm getting out at 8 o'clock, girl.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing a patient at 8 o'clock. I'm not getting out anything past 8. And yes, granted, we get paid, but I'm scheduled from 8 to 8, and I would rather not get out past 8 o'clock.
Okay. Let me tell you, I don't want to do documentation past time that I'm getting on the clock.
Yes, no.
I'm not. If I have to stay, I'm charging because my
Yeah.
time is valuable, and that's one thing we get into attitude of we have to give, like we have to, our time. We have like to be a team player. Like I stay and I don't get paid. It's just because I'm a team player and I'm helping. No, my
No.
time is valuable. And once you actually can put a dollar amount on your time, like you said, it's like, nope, I'm not staying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not staying. I'm any later than I
Mm-hmm.
need to, and I'm not doing anything for free.
Yeah. So I tell my recruiters that, like, okay, they saying the doors close at 8, so if a patient walk in at 7:59, then I have to see them, then pay me.
Mm-hmm. I'm willing to do it. I'm on the clock. I'm still on the clock now, so that's just what it is.
Yep. So
Yep.
that's all it is. Is like, am I getting paid after? Okay, cool. That's
Yeah.
all that matters to me. I ideally don't try to stay after 8, but if I do, am I getting paid after? Cool. If I have to document at home, am I getting paid for the time that I'm
See, they don't
documenting?
want to they don't want to pay doctors to document at home, but I charge for, like you say earlier in the podcast, orientation. If I
Yes.
have to do modules or stuff at home, a lot of times
Yep.
they'll try to give you all that stuff to do at home because they think you're not going to ask. I expect to be paid my rate, not a
Mhm.
reduced rate, because my time is
Mhm.
still the same. I want my regular rate. If I'm going to do any like EMR training, anything like that, I want my rate. And that's just
That's
and
it.
that's just it. And a lot of times people who are getting into locums don't know to ask for that.
Don't know to ask
If
for those
because
things.
that can be
Exactly.
like 2-3 hours that you're spending. And to be honest, every year that we have to do that recertification and go over all the HIPAA and all that stuff, I charge for that. I charge for that
Mhm.
every year because I am a
Mhm.
contractor. And I think doctors don't
Mhm.
know that they can do that because in a W-2 job, it's just expected.
It's
It's
expected.
just
Mhm.
expected. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let's lighten it up a bit. So, what is a favorite city? What is your favorite city that you've worked in clinically, not just aesthetically?
I worked in, what is it called? I worked in San Jose. I really enjoyed it out there. I
Really?
really like working in California. That's number
Okay.
one. But
Okay.
I don't know how it is for doctors, but now they've been more heavy on it being a W-2 state for nurse
Mm.
practitioners.
Mhm.
It was like a fine line,
Mhm.
but now it seems like it's like most of them paid the nurse practitioners as W-2, so I haven't been out there in a long time. But I really enjoyed working. I was right by the beach
Okay.
and I was working out there. I don't feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a New York, like New York clinics are tough, okay?
That's
They
all I
say
hear about New York. Even from
New
like
York is
applying a
tough.
residency, is like New York is a hard market to work in.
It's tough. So like the California busy to me wasn't busy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I used to go outside during my, okay, no patients. I would go outside, it's always sunny, and I would go and sit outside until another patient walked through the door, and then I would go see the patient. It felt so, this is my favorite place to work is California.
I love it.
Okay.
The sun does not hurt, especially so I'm from Michigan. I live in
Mm-hmm.
Georgia. Most of my contracts are in warm states because I
Mm-hmm.
train in Chicago. I will take a contract in the Midwest again, but when it comes to like the weather, I prefer to be somewhere I can go out and
Warm.
enjoy where I am. So I definitely
Girl.
understand why you liked California. What is one assignment that surprised you, good or bad?
Ooh. I'll tell you. So it was an assignment. Actually, it was bad. It was an assignment that I worked in the winter time,
Okay.
and it paid very well. They actually, it's so funny. They actually put a rate that was supposed to be a doctor's rate, and then try to go back on it. And I already
Oh,
was like, no, you got to
it's
pay
too
me. Yeah,
late. This is the
too
contract.
late. Right. So I was like, no, you got to pay me this rate. So they were paying me the rate, but honey, that contract, I was by myself. So most urgent cares, you're by yourself. I was by myself. I was seeing like 70
Oh
patients
my
a
God.
day.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So it wasn't worth it. Like
And
I
well, how
ended up
many
not,
hours are the shifts?
it's a 12-hour
Oh my
shift.
God.
Yeah. It was a lot. Granted, it's urgent care, but it's just a lot on the body. So I said to them, okay, you need to bring me another provider, because they wanted me to extend, and I said no. It was just a 30-day.
Yeah.
They wanted me to extend for 3 months, and I said no, because you only got me working here. It's too crazy here.
Mm-hmm.
And then so they brought me another provider. The provider is not a locum. The provider is a new grad.
Okay.
Nothing against my new grad, but like when it's in a situation like that, like I wasn't expecting it. Thankfully, she was a new grad that was a lot like me.
Okay.
Like I'm a see the patient. If I have any
If I
questions,
have questions, I'll ask you.
that's how she
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
thankfully. So we worked very, very well together, and I convinced her to do locums, and I think
Nice.
she does it now.
Okay.
But yeah, that was like my worst contract. I made the most in that contract, but that was I think for 3 months I made, like, I'm very transparent, so I don't care. But 3 months for nurse practitioner, I made 35,000.
Oh wow, that was good. That's
Mm-hmm.
good.
For my
So
specialty, is pretty good.
yeah, for sure. Um, and yeah, like I feel like, and I don't know if this is your experience, but usually when a lot of times people be like, I want to go for the money, I want the highest rate, I want this. You have to expect that there may be something wrong when people are coming out
Yeah.
with those high rates. So
Yeah, so like nowadays, it's so amazing how I grew. I don't really go for the rates as much anymore. You know, this
yeah,
might be like
I try
this.
to
That's
tell
I don't.
people the same thing in the physician world. I'm like, sometimes your peace and being able to go to work and just get your job done and go home and not deal with the craziness from understaffing or high acuity and all that stuff is not worth it for that,
Yeah,
400, 450 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, always
yeah,
negotiate and advocate for yourself. But if they coming with that off the rip, you gotta, like, to me, that's kind of
yeah.
a red flag. Like,
It's a
why are
red
you trying to
flag.
entice me this much to come here? What's wrong? What's
Right.
really
What's
wrong?
wrong with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So nowadays it's different. Like for me, I go for one, California. If I want to take a break, I hate the winter here. I'm surprised I'm still here, to be honest with you. Because this is not like normally what I do.
Yeah.
I usually go to California in the winter time, but I don't want to work W-2, so that's why I haven't been. But California, I would go there. This Peds contract, I literally didn't negotiate too much, to be honest with you. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a car. I didn't have a car. I was a nomad. Like I was a digital nomad. So I didn't have a car. I didn't have now I have a house, but I didn't have a car. I didn't have a house at that time. So it was just like I wanted a car rental.
You,
Like
you know what I
so
call
they gave
that?
me what?
High class homeless. I have a friend.
High class
High
homeless,
class homeless.
baby. I was high class homeless. Like, so my friends, they're so funny, because my friend be like, yeah, you was a digital nomad. I was like, but it was high class, honey. Like, I
Okay.
would get, I would get the hotel and get the car rental and use those points and travel. That allow me to
Okay.
travel for free, right? So like, I would do that. So it depends. Like my negotiation would depend on the season I am in life and what I want out of that contract. So sometimes it's not always the rate. Sometimes I want them to put me in a nice Marriott. I worked in the summertime in the Hamptons, by the
Oh
way.
my gosh.
And that's exactly what I wanted to. They gave me housing, they gave me transportation. They did give me a good rate, but I didn't really negotiate the rate too much because it was the Hamptons. Like I was
You're
like,
like,
I'm going to the
I
beach.
don't want nobody else to take this gig. Yes.
I'm going to the beach. So like I would go to the beach after work or the weekends. Like so it depends on what I want in the season, in
Right.
each season. You know what I mean?
Now this is a question I just thought about because I was on your social media and I saw that you got engaged.
Oh yeah.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you manage your personal life with all the travel that you have? Because you don't have kids,
I don't have
but you
kids.
have a partner. So
I
how
have a
do
partner.
you manage everything with your travel schedule and making
Yes.
sure that you're present in your relationship?
So funny. My fiance lives overseas, girl.
Shut up.
He'll be here next week.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. How did you meet?
So we met 2 years ago. I was traveling the world. We met at a party in Ghana. I haven't really shared this story too much. I don't care though. It's okay. I'm so excited about the story. We met at a party in Ghana. Why it worked? Why distance worked for us? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't recommend it. But why it worked for us is because I'm a contractor. Bing, bing, bing. He also worked remotely. He works remotely.
Okay, that
So,
works.
and we both have a passion for travel.
Okay.
So we both would choose a destination, and because I like to take my 3 months off, I would be with him
That
during
is
that time.
awesome. That's I'm
Yep,
happy
and we
for you,
would just
sis.
travel the world and whatever. So this navigation is gonna be new for me as of next week when he comes here.
Okay.
But we already kind of have things like he's supportive of what I do. Hopefully he gets another remote job. New York happened to be have a ton of opportunities, so I don't really need to go anywhere. Been here for 2 years, so it'll be a little bit different. And he's okay with me taking assignments if
Okay.
I wanted to take assignments. We both believe in solo traveling too,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it
Good.
works.
Good. That's
It works.
awesome.
Yeah, that's my best friend. We have
Yes.
like the same personality, so.
I love that. I love that for you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
wrapping up.
I gotta ask you about kids though, like, cause I'm gonna enter that
Oh
stage soon.
yes.
So how are
Okay.
you doing it?
So before I had my son, I would go anywhere to work a contract. And I think the furthest west I'd gone had been like Arizona. Definitely I did the Midwest. His father lived in the DMV, so I picked up some contracts there. I had my eyes on Atlanta, so I started picking up contracts there. I will go anywhere. Now
Yeah.
that I'm a mom, I was let me give you this background. There was one period of time, and this was during COVID, that I took a full-time job. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest, I decided that I was gonna get pregnant during that time that I took the full-time job. So
Yeah.
I interviewed, I got the job, I got pregnant. Baby, I hid that pregnancy the whole time. And I was a director. I hid that pregnancy the as long as I could. Okay.
Mhm.
And it was because I worked primary. I was the only woman in my group. So coming into a new job where it's like, okay, so all these men, they
Yeah.
bless they heart, but they be having some stuff in their mind about women and what they should and shouldn't do when they come to work, or
Yeah.
what their career should really look like. So I kept it to myself. And I knew the cat was out the bag when I walked into this room. It was like this like 80, 90-year-old patient, and she was like, "Are you pregnant?" I was like, "Oh, dang. Like, what am I gonna do?"
Oh
So
my gosh.
now that was a tough time for me because I didn't have freedom to be like, okay, I'm gonna take this time off during my pregnancy. I felt like I fell into the mindset of a full-time employee. Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
like let my colleagues down. I'm gonna put stress on them to take off. Definitely not a mindset that I would have as a locums if that was my situation.
Right.
But what was tough was working a full-time job and being a mom.
Mhm.
Working a full-time job as a mom, because I didn't have that control over my schedule. I was leaving home, my kid be sleep. I come home and he sleep. So it
Mhm.
was difficult planning activities with him. Difficult because either I'm too tired because I've been burned out from this job. So locums has actually been better for me as a mom.
I try to tell people it
Yes,
works.
it has been better for me as a mom because I can make more money and work less shifts. I can plan around things that are important to my family. And so my baby, he bougie. I can't listen. He better do something that brings him a lot of money because this kid is accustomed to sky lounges and airplanes, okay? And
uh,
he's 4 years old. He knows the difference. He knows when he's in a first class seat versus when he's in I call it first class. I
okay.
call it first class coach, which is Comfort Plus on Delta. But
Mhm.
he knows the difference. So he has become accustomed to our lifestyle of travel, of mommy
Mhm.
being home, mommy making sure that she's at all the swim lessons, at the karate when I can make it. Like, I plan my life around my job. So
Right.
that's the benefit. And I didn't have that during the time that I was working full time. So
Right.
yes.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
possible. It's possible. And I have tons of friends with the right support, whether that be hired help or family. It's possible. That's for
It
sure.
is. It
Yeah.
is. I tell people that all the time. Like, think about it. Like, when you were W-2, you made a certain amount. When you're a contractor, you make higher amounts. So why can't you manage around the amount that you
People
make
don't
now?
understand that. They feel like, oh, I might not be able to pay my bills. I'm like, we are professionals.
Wow.
We will always be able to pay your if you keep that in mind, you will always be able to pay your bills. You will always be able to make money. Okay, it may not even have to be showing up to a job per se, but you will always be able to make some money. And that's just key. Whether it's like we say telemedicine at home, whether it's contract consulting work, like you will always be able to make money. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the fears, especially moms who are making that transition. Like, I need stability, not understanding that you can create stability for your family and for yourself in locums. So,
But every time people say that, I always ask, what does stability look like? Because if stability look like a paycheck every 2 weeks, you can make what you're making in less than a month. So what does stability look like? It's that fear of always it comes with chasing the contract. But when you outline things and you're like, listen, this I can pay 6 months of my rent or mortgage with this particular contract. You buying back more time, it should work. So yeah, like for me, right now in this season, I'm in my PRN locums
okay.
bag and telehealth.
Okay. Okay.
Telehealth.
So are
Yep,
you
I've
doing
been
like
working.
urgent care telehealth?
I
Okay.
do an urgent care telehealth on the side that I can. It's simple. It's not even something that I expect to have a lot of money in because I don't feel like telehealth in our specialty or just nurse practitioners in general. I don't think they pay too
I
much.
don't feel like
W-2 they do,
I don't feel
but
like for
1099.
doctors, I don't feel like it pays enough for me
Okay,
to.
it's the same.
Yeah, I don't feel like it pays enough for me to. Like, I don't, when I'm at home, I don't want to work. I ain't even gonna lie. And when I'm home, I'm home because I've done some telehealth jobs before. Some of them have been easier than others, but it takes a lot of like you got to see a bunch of patients fast to make a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so their compensation model is different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you have to have more licenses to see more patients so that you can get compensated more.
That
So
part.
how I do things is if I'm not doing a contract or anything, I have to have the most. I don't want you to tell me I need to work 20 hours a week doing telehealth and every other that I don't want to feel like I work any type of W-2 job. I've turned down telehealth jobs like that.
Yeah.
So the one that I work is super flexible. I can get off this call and log in for a few hours while I'm watching Netflix.
See.
And that's it and come off. So I've been in that space, but my majority of my income is always going to be locums.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Mhm.
So, um, someone listening today, physician or nurse practitioner, that is curious about locums but scared, what is the lowest risk first step they could take in the next 30 days?
Ooh, but they're scared. I would say tapping into somebody that did it.
That's what I would say. Hiring a coach, talking to somebody who's done it, getting someone to like show you the ropes.
Show you the ropes because it's not an easy journey. It's a mindset shift. So you need somebody that experienced it already, that went through the trenches, like to be able to be like, don't do that, do
Yep.
this.
Yep.
And that I wish I had that. I didn't have
I
that.
didn't have
So
that.
it's
And I made
like,
a lot of expensive mistakes because of it.
girl,
Okay?
expensive.
Expensive
Okay.
mistakes because of it, because I didn't have that person. So that's why I say coaching is so important in so many areas of life. But when you're doing this locums game and you are trying to make sure you can maximize as best you can make some mistakes that you have to deal with for, up to 2 years. So definitely I agree with you on that for
Yeah, that's
sure.
my only. I don't like. It's not even like us just saying like you should tap in with us. Tap in with this, okay? Or tap
Yes.
in with YouTube videos that we post or our page. Just tap into something where you could get a lot of information, and then when you're ready, make an investment. Whether that's a coaching call or whatever, a digital product, whatever the case may be, and then have that person guide you throughout the way. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no workaround around it. I'm not gonna say that you're not gonna be able to do it yourself. We did it ourselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it comes with an expensive mistake.
That part right
That's
there.
if
That's
you want to
key.
avoid it, then you know what to do. Like,
Absolutely. And I want my listeners to hear this clearly. Locums isn't about your letters. It's not about MD, DO, NP.
oh
It's
no,
about reclaiming agency and how you practice medicine. Ebony, thank you so much. If people
of
want to
course.
follow your journey, learn from you, or connect, where should they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Instagram and TikTok, but you can mainly on Instagram at EbTheMP on
Okay.
Instagram. I am going to be in my YouTube a lot. I just made 1K followers. So happy.
I see.
So
Congrats.
thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna be on YouTube a lot because I just want to pour into healthcare professionals. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, and provide as much information as I know to just keep them informed of this. Locums is not new. Locums been around from before. First of all, not since COVID, because that's another misconception. People are like, oh, since COVID. No, I've been doing locums before COVID, but locums been around since before I was born.
I think more people are trying to tap into locums because after COVID, people were getting burned out and leaving jobs. But it has been around for a long time. It's had a reputation for being for bad doctors, bad, people who are in medicine, but so far from that now, it is definitely for the person who wants more control of their career, who wants to maximize financially, and who just wants to, have freedom. Pretty much.
Freedom.
Yeah, that's
freedom-based medicine. That's what it is.
Yes. And to my physician listeners, if today stirred even a little curiosity, that's your sign. You don't have to commit. You just have to explore. So definitely thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. We'll have to do this again. I'm looking forward to everything that you're, encountering on your journey and what's ahead.
Thank you.
So definitely, guys, thank you for listening, everybody. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Locums Lounge with Dr. Mimi. I hope that you leave feeling inspired to at least consider how locums can change your lifestyle as you practice medicine. Be sure to check out my website at thelocumslounge.com and follow us on Instagram at The Locums Lounge. Look forward to hearing from you next week, and thank you for tuning in. Until next time, have a great week.